A spring convention about Scotland's future to unite people from across society with regular discussion and open debate, free from party politics, on matters of crucial importance to the nation, focusing clearly on Scotland's future and the achievement of meaningful self-determination.
At this station we are discussing what Scotland can do with our existing powers under devolution to improve Scotland's energy sector. We've talked about various ways of attracting green industries, anchoring manufacturing in Scotland, but we've also talked about options for taking energy into public ownership and the limits that Scotland currently has in the devolution that prevent some of that, but enable a lot more.
You are Jim Daly.
Daly, that's right.
And Jim, you've been over in the other group there. Just give me a quick précis of what you did.
So what that group are looking at are how we possibly get from where we are now to a more distributed energy system in Scotland, a low-cost energy system. Everything goes into the UK national grid. It becomes a uniform price, more or less, although in Scotland some of the costs are even higher. And that wouldn't need to be the case in an energy abundant Scotland. And I think it was agreed by everybody that the UK government's highly unlikely to give Scotland control of energy. So the best policy is to try to make as detailed and compelling a case as possible for what we can do technically, and then embarrass the UK government into having to refute that.
You've just been in this group here. What did you learn?
The difficulties in politicians have in having an economic policy, an industrial policy, and balancing that off with our ecological responsibilities for the planet means that it's almost untouchable for a politician. Which is a really difficult place for a politician to be. Gutless and unable to take a risk because it can't be associated with something that's so controversial, and yet it's absolutely vital for Scotland's future and being able to control and command a strategy for energy that we will own.
We learned about the grid and how secure it is and how else we could get the electricity out, and the use of hydrogen, various other methods, and how expensive it all is just now, who's in control of it and how much we need that control back, and the advantages of having it all done locally. A lot of the problems are that they talk about not having the money, but a lot of it can be done through councils, so the councils can get together and borrow that money, and then the Scottish Government isn't truly involved. So yes, it's absolutely essential we have a green economy and we're in charge of our power completely, nobody else.
My name's Cheryl McGeever.
Cheryl, what have you learned today at this event?
Lots of really great speakers on independence and how complex all the issues are and how we all need to come together to pool the resources and information to deliver it to the wider public in a easier understood format. And just going around the stations here at this session here about energy, again how abundant we are in energy in Scotland, and how complex it is. It's obviously all been funneled down to Westminster. One, I think, very interesting point was that the possibility of being able to tax the energy before it left Scotland, although it's not devolved, but that's something we could possibly do.
Tell me, what have you learnt today?
Well, quite a lot actually. We're focusing here on the nitty-gritty of some big policy topics like land ownership, land use, energy, and we're about to move on to talk about the Constitution. And we're getting beneath the surface of these issues in a way that very hard to do, really, in most political discourse. And it's refreshing to be able to come here and talk about the detail of stuff. There's no pressure either to come up with a conclusion today. It's about exploring the debate and taking it further, and I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, I've learned a lot. I've learned that 67% of the rural land in Scotland is owned by less than 1/4% of the people who live here. That's a pretty compelling statistic, which sort of puts the old 784 equation into perspective.
The fundamental challenge of the energy system at the moment is that when you generate electricity for about 7.5 pence per kilowatt hour when it's windy and feed it into the grid, it immediately becomes about 3 times the price. And what we have to do is use that electricity more locally. We're unlikely to get a change in grid rules in the short term, but what you can do is create private buyers. So the conclusion we came to was, in strategic locations, take electricity, the technical terms, behind the meter, so before it goes into the grid, and feed that electricity to community systems. And that can be a community that's quite small, or it can be a community the size of Edinburgh. The same principle applies. If you use that electricity before it gets fed into the grid, it's a lot cheaper. So those things might include district heating. There's more heat in the North Sea than you need to heat all of Edinburgh. You just need lots of big heat pumps, lots of pipes, lots of cables, and the right energy pricing policy, and that all creates jobs, which is one of the key bits. The second thing we could do is, if we can find the right sort of businesses that want lots of sensibly priced electricity but are prepared to be flexible, we can attract them into Scotland and build up the manufacturing community to create the jobs that will create the social welfare that we need going forward. So quite a long-ranging conversation, but really I could maybe try and summarise it in the short term. We've got to fake it till we make it, and I hope that does justice to the conversation that we had.
Reduce our dependence on England and Wales. Use the planning, devolved planning laws that we have already to better effect. Focus on our key communities and grow some of these business opportunities from the community up. Developing industry indigenously rather than trying to attract large multinational conglomerates to come in. We've got lots of opportunity to develop our own industry. There was a question about the role of a number of different bodies around Scotland, that particularly the Scottish Development Agencies, and what more can they do. But I summarised on the bottom here a little bit, leverage our position. I think this was the one key theme that actually came out of every single group, and it was the only one that came out of every group, was we do have a number of devolved powers, and some people don't realise how powerful they are, planning being one. So Ed Miliband can't build anything to satisfy his net zero without the help of Scotland, and Scotland controls planning. So we have the majority of the renewables here, we have lots of the batteries are coming here, the interconnection is being connected here, so we can do even more in Scotland. And that's good for Scotland on one level, but are we really getting the value out of it? Now, oil and gas is reducing, that's a lot of jobs and a lot of prosperity, Grangemouth, we all know the story. Are we really getting the value from the renewables that we're forgiving on in other industries? And the key issue here, we do hold an ACER pass lead with the planning laws. There are other aspects to it as well. But are we leveraging that as much as we can? Community benefit was another one that came out of it. Are the communities getting as much benefit from these projects as they can? There's a mandated de minimis level that Ofgem set that said that developers had to offer communities at least £5,000 a megawatt. So what happens is the developers offer them that and no more. And that's really a very low amount. So there is a lot more that we can do. And the councils as well, there's a lot more can be centralised in the councils. So Scotland cannot have a national energy company, but we can have council-owned ones. And local authorities and community-based ones, can we make more out of that? And also giving the councils the support and expertise to maximise the value that each one is getting, because there does seem to be a difference.